TFR. Truth Frequency Radio. Good morning, TFR.
Good morning.
Hi, this is Alan. I like Ironworx because it's where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
I love Ironworx with Josh, Walt and Zach. It's like sitting in your front room having a cosy chat with your best friends.
Hi, it's Diva here, and I just want you to know that Ironworx with Josh, Walt and Zach, it's definitely my favourite dose of reality. Come join the family and keep it flat.
Why sleep in when you could get your dose of iron in the morning? Listen to the Ironworx on TFR.
This is Enlightened Dawn. Roses are red, violets are blue. Iron Realm Media is the best on the plane. To this show, I will forever be true. You guys are truly the best, and I love you guys. I'm so thankful to have you in my life.
Do you like listening to space letters from Never a Straight Answer? Then tune in to The Ironworx with Zach, Walter, and Josh. Break clear of the fear on the Ironworx and become an Iron Scout.
Wake up! And good morning. Welcome to the Ironworx right here on Truth Frequency Radio. My name is Josh Corey, and I am joined this morning by some very good friends and co-hosts. Starting off with Mr. Walter Johnson. You might know him as Flat Earth Head. Here on the YouTubes, Walter, how are you, my good sir?
Good morning, Josh. Good morning, TFR, YouTube, everywhere else that we are talking and trying to get things going this morning. I'm here. It was a good weekend. Got some coffee ready. Much needed coffee. But yeah, had a great weekend. Can't wait to get started for this week. Let's get these other fellows in here.
Yes, let's say hello to Mr. Zachary Zabala. Or Good Times for All. Here on the YouTube. Zach, how are you, sir?
Hello, everybody out there. Hey, Josh. Hey, Walt. Hey, that other guy we haven't said hi to yet. Oh, it's been crazy, man. I don't know what's going on. Just being like sensory bombardment overload, or I don't know. It seems like there's just so much going on right now. Everywhere I look, everywhere I turn, it's just something new to play with. You know, people, I don't know, we've had a lot of people over the weekend and stuff. I think, Saturday, Sunday, and yesterday, there were different people over and different stuff going on. So it's just been, I don't know, it's been a very active spring, we'll say.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys do it. Don't get me wrong. I love people. I love friends. I love family, but I just can't. I can't socialize that much. I can't be that personable all the time. I've got to withdraw. So hats off to you guys. Kudos, because I can't imagine it's easy.
No, yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier that they're all flat earthers, you know. If it was like, you know, my family, yeah, I don't think I could do it. No way. So yeah, it helps having such a great family.
I'm sure that it does. Well, then that ought to round it out. Let's say hello to Mr. Lucas, King LC King. There on YouTube, Lucas. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. No, I'm not as busy as Zach, but it's been busy enough for me. I've been out in the garden doing that sort of thing. Had a fire going in the backyard, so I'm doing some cleaning up. Basically, anything I find that I can burn, I'll throw it on the fire just to help out. But other than that, no, it's been pretty chill here, and looking forward to the show. How have you been?
Well, good. I was actually having to deal a little bit with some of those things that I was just referring to Zach about, and just having to have that sensory overload and too much stimulation. Just a little bit of that, just having people over this weekend, which isn't bad, but then they somehow just sort of kept coming, and I don't know. Well, here's something some people may not know. I actually have a daughter. Well, not really a daughter. She's a stepdaughter. Not even really a stepdaughter anymore because her mom and I divorced. But she was 18 months old when I met her mom, my ex-wife.
Pretty much your daughter.
Pretty much my daughter.
Yeah, I hear you.
And then when the ex-wife and I split, I spent a little time basically homeless just because I didn't want to live with my ex-girlfriend. And given my circumstances, it was probably the healthiest place for me to be. So I ended up having some places that I couldn't really, have the kids with me every other weekend, or when I finally did land, it was just in a house with a bunch of other guys, and we were all just kind of sharing the rent. I didn't really know these other guys too well and wasn't comfortable having my young daughter stay around these guys I didn't know. And then her mom was just kind of, I wouldn't say brainwashing her, but I think I made an easy target there for a while. And I think that might have kept her away for a little bit. And then she had her biological father, and then one of the other guys she called dad, the one that her mom was with when she got pregnant, that wasn't her dad, her biological father. So she had lots of guys in her life, and I wasn't in a position where I could adequately take care of Christ myself, let alone children. So we just kind of actually lost touch there for a little while. I would see her when I could and just, pop in and say hello, check in on her, see how she's doing, things like that. But I guess she had a bit of a come to Jesus moment. She was working retail, had a boyfriend for a few years, bought a house. Then I guess she just decided that none of that was making her happy. Broke up with her fiance, I think even, or boyfriend of many years at least, sold her house, and just decided she's going to move on up to Portland. So she leaves today. She came by last night, and I got to hang out with her for a few hours and tell her goodbye. And it was really good to be able to see her. So big shout out to
the Earth is flat.
No, I don't think she's quite there.
Not yet.
No. I
it
don't
took
think
me years after I finally woke up to find flat Earth, so she's got time.
She does have time. And she is now a they. They have time. Emily is now just the letter M. So M has time. She can go find herself up in Portland. There is lots to experience up there.
Portland, though?
Well, the way she said it almost started as a joke. Like, hey, we'll all just move to Portland so we don't have to deal with all these normies down here, I think. And then the joke just snowballed, and
it's a beautiful area, but I wouldn't move to a major city. Well, she's from St. Louis, though, right? So she's used to.
Yeah, and she's going to be just outside. I don't think she's like in downtown Portland. She's just sort of in the suburbs. She works for Marshall's, so she's taking a promotion and transferring up there. And will be the office manager up there at Marshall's. So I told her she needed to go stop by the Bluebird Cafe. Say hello.
Yeah, you're right. I was shout out to our buddy. It's been a minute. Probably wondering where the hell we've been, actually.
Probably
As many people probably have.
So aside from that, which was, bittersweet, it is really good to see her finding her own, just being able to slough off the expectations of her mom and society and everything else and just say, fuck it, I'm doing my thing, my way. Y'all can fuck off.
I did it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, that's what you got to do, don't you? At some point.
At some point, I think so. Yeah.
Cut ties, yeah. Well, you don't have to cut ties, but pretty sure most of us did.
Pretty soon you'll just be renting a motel with your mom.
Norman, the water's too cold. That was one of those scary stories. I've been listening to a lot of those missing 411 type of stories where the people, go missing and this and that and yada, yada, yada. Well, this one, it wasn't a story about the guy went missing. He actually found one of the people that were making people disappear. And the guy was running a motel that had been closed down for like a month. It was an old shabby motel on the highway out in the middle of BFE nowhere. And he went and hooked up a generator and backed and just made it so a couple rooms worked and turned the lights on. And he would let people come in and then kill them when they were sleeping.
Oh, that's rough, really.
That's crazy, isn't it? And he'd be real nice about it. Oh, our credit card machine's down. Oh, you only got $30 in cash. That'll be enough. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I'll cut you a break. Yeah, and this one guy who eventually ended up like having the police catch the guy just had a weird feeling about the guy for some reason and decided, hey, I'm just going to go sleep out in my car. He heard the doorknob jiggle real quick or something like that. And he had put a chair up in there so the guy couldn't open it. And as soon as he heard that guy's key hit the lock and like turn it and jiggle the door, and then the guy walked away for a minute, he ran out to his car and went to go sleep in his car. Then he saw the guy come back and start like banging on the door and beating it. And yeah, he didn't even try to turn it the next time. He just came up and started slamming his shoulder into it. So he called the cops right there, and the guy went in there and freaked out and saw the guy wasn't there and started flipping over the furniture and just destroying the room. And yeah, he turned his car on, and the guy chased him like out of the thing, chasing after his car. What is wrong with people, dude? Seriously,
is that a legit story for real?
I don't know. Yeah, it's. I don't know if it's legit, but it's part of that missing 411 blah 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 thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe most of those stories, to tell you the truth. I mean, I believe that people went missing, but I don't believe the stories that the people that are with them tell them, or the people that have trouble.
Well, Doc Michael says it sounds like my renter.
It was Dawn. Where was this? I think it was either Utah or Montana, maybe.
Lots of craziness up in that northwest corner of the country. When I was first going out to Oregon, my brother said, that was one of the things he was joking around about, how many serial killers originate from the Portland area. So tell your daughter to be careful over there. Oh, man.
No cheap hotels, that's for sure.
Right. But yeah, that whole corner up there apparently just has a crazy vibe. I don't know. One of the biggest mental institutions for the criminally insane was right there, not too far from where my brother lives, and we would drive by it when it was still an abandoned complex, and it was creepy and scary, and like one night we'll go over here and take some video or whatever, but we just never did. And then maybe 2 visits later, driving out that way, and suddenly we noticed they were clearing it, and then it was gone. And then they built a brand new neighborhood there, the Ticky Tack neighborhoods. And apparently it was revealed after they got it built that they had found tunnel systems underneath the area. So yeah, welcome to your new neighborhood. Not me, but
was it a big mud flutter?
I'm sure.
They usually are those ones.
Vaguely, yeah. I can remember it being that type of big, sprawling building, but I don't remember. I could look it up. Actually, let me see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff like this all over the country. There in Indiana, it was right down the road, right across the county line. It was called the Seven Dolors Shrine. It's a Jesuit sect. The Dolors, the Seven Dolors. And there's a big neighborhood there now. But I had heard all kinds of stories growing up about these, because it used to be just a big like shire, just a big like it had walking paths and a bunch of crazy stuff. It had a shrine, like a mausoleum. You walked in and it had Jesus in there, all looking like hell. And he had a cage over his head. These people were weird, but there were supposedly tunnels. Yeah, I've seen that too. It's still there. That thing with Jesus with his head is in like not a bird cage. It's like 1-inch metal straps in a cage around his head. Yeah, and I've seen
that's trippy.
Yeah, but there's tunnel systems that supposedly go like 4 stories down, 4 different layers down, that people have said they've gone into. Now, I believe that part. I don't believe the other people that tell me, yeah, and there's guys walking around down there with monk robes on that won't talk to you and will chase you. And it's like, yeah, I don't buy that. But yeah, now
they probably say it so that people don't go down there.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah, monks down there that will chase you, doing strange chants.
Of course, out in the middle of nowhere. It was on a country road surrounded by cornfields.
Well, I see in the chat talk of, these tunnel systems having been around for some. Well, there that came. Sorry. Tunnel systems. I tried to mute. Sorry. From all over the realm here, and also in Oregon, in downtown Oregon, every year for Halloween, there is a thing where they open up the tunnel system and they create a haunted house in it. No, again, thank you. But yeah, there's tunnels all over Oregon over there. So I did find a little article. I linked to you guys in chat. I'll drop it in the show description as well. A little bit of the history of the Oregon Hospital for the Insane and its haunted history. Some really creepy photographs. I'll throw some in the picture for the show too.
So are they decent tunnels though, you reckon?
Well, the ones downtown, they don't even like play around with that. They're known for people disappearing in them. And so when they open it up and turn it into an insane, haunted house, that's pretty great. That's just nuts. Let me find some of those pictures. Hang on.
You ever seen that movie, The City of Ember? It's like a kid's movie. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I read the book.
I was watching that the other night, and it's pretty interesting little sort of story. And basically what happens is, I don't know, the earth becomes uninhabitable, so they build a city underground, and then they have a box, and it's got a timer on it for 200 years because it's only meant to last for 200 years, and then you come back up to the surface. And so the storyline starts where they're a couple of kids are seeing that the whole place is falling apart and they're trying to work out how to get out of there. So, but there was just some interesting sort of little tie-ins to, some of the stuff that could have happened where people have, had to go underground for a while, or because you do see these just massive tunnel systems where they're like almost like it'd be like half a city underground. I think there's some in Turkey and places like that. So you just got to wonder if there's some sort of reality to a little story that they're telling there.
So I did find a little reference. I just quickly grabbed the wiki one, but there's others I could share with you guys about the Shanghai tunnels is what they're actually called. I knew there was a name, I just couldn't remember it. And it's just what they say here. It was a bunch of connected basements of many of the hotels and taverns along the waterfront of the Willamette River, originally built to move goods from the dock at the ships there on the Willamette to basement storage areas to avoid traffic, street, that kind of stuff. And then they go into some of the history, and I'll see if I can find some of the haunted houses stuff they do as well. But yeah, it's pretty crazy when you realize the amount of underground stuff that is going on, has been going on. That to me, the idea of a hollow earth is a given with what they're letting us know they do down there. So what they don't let us know that's going on down there, it probably would stagger your mind.
Uh-huh.
I've seen videos of them driving trucks through the ones they built. So imagine what they found and are using down there, But it's pretty crazy.
They say they built them.
Well, there you go. They could have found
Weren't they talking about, is that
them.
train that goes in a vacuum, is that a reality, or is that just something that they talk about?
A what now?
Remember that?
I don't know.
You haven't heard of that?
No.
Oh, well, there's this either a concept. I assume it's just a concept, but it was basically you put the whole like it'd be an underground tunnel, and then you sort of draw out the air out of it, and then there's no resistance for the train to actually move through, and it can go at these ultra high speeds. You haven't heard that?
Oh, it makes sense though.
Yeah, it does.
Did you see the guys from Energy Supply ran their finished turbine yesterday? It was late. It was like 9:30 at night. But those guys that were doing the Tesla turbo, they've been working on it for a couple years now. They have their finished prototype.
And what happened?
I didn't watch it. I woke up today and saw that they had done it. I didn't get to see it. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing right after the show is checking that out and seeing how much output they got. Yeah, this is exciting times, folks, for electricity nerds.
I'll post a link for the guys in chat. They might want to see it too.
Yeah, good call. Let me go find it. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that I love this stuff. People out there, and it's not like they invented this. They took an old Tesla patent.
Oh, and built it.
Yeah, just rebuilt it, like had all the parts machined themselves, went and designed it.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody go check these guys out. This is like and it's not like they're not a huge channel or anything, but the stuff they're doing, they spoke at the North American Energy something or other, kind of like our Flat Earth conferences. They have the energy conferences, and they were one of the presenters at the energy conference.
Okay, so Ben Flatt, thanks for that. He put in there the vac train, and in the Wikipedia it says a vac train or a vacuum tube train is a proposed design for a very high-speed rail transportation. It is a maglev, magnetic levitation line using partly evacuated tubes or tunnels. Reduced air resistance could permit the vac trains to travel at very high supersonic speeds with relatively little power, up to 6,400 to 8,000 kilometers per hour, or 4,000 or 5,000 miles per hour.
Dang.
That's whooping.
I couldn't even imagine something on the ground going that fast.
Well, it's not on the ground; it's got maglev, so it's just like
Well, yeah, you know
singing
that.
above it. But it's I know. it's just like
It was flying.
you want to make sure your brakes work anyway.
Yeah.
He's like the whole time's just like taking off, and then the rest of the time's just slowing down.
Slowing down, yeah.
You want the chairs facing backwards, so your head's against it. Yeah. Speaking of electricity, I was watching a Paul Cook, his last video, and he was going through some sort of really old medical devices like electric toothbrushes and for health reasons. But it was electric hairbrush or body scrub, and what was the other one? Anyway, it was a good video, worth checking out. I'll see if I can find the link to that.
Well, that will actually bring us right up to break music here any second. So link that up for us, man, and we'll share it for sure. Well, listen to that.
Looky there. And that will be segment number 1 of the Ironworx right here on Truth Frequency Radio. Josh, Walt, Zach, and Lucas. Still waking up this morning. Stick around. Let's see what happens.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. September 2018. Extendivite works in keeping my blood pressure in the normal range. I've been using Extendivite for many years now. May 2018. Great product. I use regularly and I rarely get sick. March 2018. This product has relieved what appeared to be angina pain in my chest and shortness of breath after climbing stairs. I'm quite happy about it. February 2018. My husband, son, and I have been using this product for a few months now, and we have noticed an improvement in our joints and blood pressure. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up. Standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
More than a dozen astronauts have officially reported UFOs. Hundreds of hours of UFO footage were looked by astronauts aboard the space shuttle. Many of these UFOs can only be seen in ultraviolet light. Retired former Apollo astronauts and cosmonauts now tell their stories of their own personal UFO encounters.
The Enigma Channel Intelligent television for planet Earth. EnigmaTV.com.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
You're listening to Truth Frequency Radio.
We are TFR.
Start your day off bright and shiny. Get up off your little hiney and begin your happy day.
And welcome back for the second segment of the Ironworks, right here on Truth Frequency Radio, simulcasting to several different platforms.
Lots.
Lots.
Well, tell you what I did today, and I don't know if people have known, but I've been dealing with this inner ear problem for probably a few months, and it's been pretty annoying because as soon as I've finished most of my songs, I was like, well, I should be able to do lyrics and sing on them. And so I haven't been able to, because I've basically been able to hear my own voice in my head reverberating around. And if you've ever had that, say if you've gone to the pool or gone swimming in the ocean and got a blocked ear, it's not very nice. But anyway, so I went to the chiropractor today, and so she adjusted me, and it was basically my shoulder, and you got like from your bicep up, and it sort of curls over the bone and into this sort of little notch in the top of the bone there, and that's where the bicep sort of muscle sits. Anyway, that was out, and so that was affecting my whole sort of neck, and then my C1, like sort of atlas and that sort of thing. So hopefully I'm going to be right as rain soon. So it's when you've been dealing with something like that for as long as I have, it just, you sort of get used to it, but it just you sort of don't at the same time.
Yeah, my neck thing finally worked itself out. It wasn't bones, it was just muscles all. Just getting old, man. This getting old stuff's for the birds.
It's rough.
I don't want to hear it, all you children.
So did you guys hear the news? The sad news for old William Gates. He and his
man Linda.
Yeah, his man Linda are getting a divorce. Aw. They said it was
27 years.
Yeah, too much video conferencing at near the end and this and that, and then he's microwaved meals. I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah, you got sick of the reach arounds.
I'm sure
his arm got tired.
Never mind.
Go, Walt. Tell us.
No, I was just going to say, I figure what happened is Kevin Kline got an upcoming part, a new role, and he couldn't be away from the set long enough to play Man Linda. So, no one else. That is Kevin Kline. I'm sorry. Go look it up. You'll find a picture.
It certainly does overlay eerily. It lines up in a way that you would not expect.
That you would not at all expect. There's some pretty crazy stuff like that, though, out there. If you dig around, I'm sure, it's all Photoshopped, and I'm just nuts. So I'll find a picture.
Melinda does look a lot like a male Air Force pilot in her picture. I'm just saying. You know, those guys are all short and stubby and stocky and not fat, but they're just, you know, you got to be. You can't be tall and lanky and skinny because they have to be able to fight the G's with their and all that blood and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, she kind of looks like an Air Force pilot to me. I don't know why. It's just.
Maybe she worked out his plan and just saw through it finally. Said, well, you know, I can't be a pilot. Doubtful.
Yeah, I doubt that. But
You're doing what, Bill?
They're still going to work together, trying to poison the earth and kill all the people. Don't worry about that, folks.
Pinky and the Brain style, yeah.
2 brains, no pinky. No imagination.
I dropped a link to a little photograph on Twitter for you guys in chat, and I'll use it for the show picture as well. So enjoy. Enjoy. Oh, what world am I in? On, around, through, near? Shout out there in chat. Good morning, Douglas Falk. My brother, we need to get you in here. It's been way too long since we've talked with you. Without a doubt.
Yeah, he asked me to do so. I'm sorry, Douglas. It's been crazy lately. I'm going to have to jump back into my messages. Get that taken care of. Something about his book. He just wanted somebody to
make sure reviews are written.
Yeah, reviews are written. And there was another place he wanted me to go throw a review.
Oh, a different place. Yeah, link that up for us, Douglas, and we'll definitely hit it up.
I did finally get mine into Amazon. I had Goodreads done.
Oh, that's the other one I have to go do, I think, is Goodreads. That's it. Thank you.
Well, I should be getting that book soon, and I'm going to sit down by the fire and enjoy a good read. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I envy you that read. It was enjoyable. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And I like the way he, just his style of writing. And my mom even did. I just asked her to read a couple chapters because she's read so many authors and over, decades that she can read a couple chapters and can tell if she likes the way that the author is writing. There's certain people that can tell a story very well, and others who it's kind of like a B movie. It's like the difference between a B movie and a, cinematic blockbuster film. And Douglas is very good at, just having the characters have their conversations, and it was very well researched. If you're not a flat earther, chapter, I believe it's 4 or 5, where they really get into all the flat earth stuff. His publisher even said, "Hey, you need to cut this chapter down." Because it was a long one. But it's when he's explaining the model and stuff like that. And it's just, for flat earthers, it's like, yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. But if you're not a flat earther and you're reading this, you probably stop like 10, 20 times in this chapter to go look stuff up. It is that jam-packed with just information that's being, portrayed as one person telling another person. And just the way he does it it's just very well done. Yeah. He's a talented writer.
We will have him back on just the first availability he has.
So truly reach out.
Yeah, trying to pick the flat earth proofs out and actually whittling them down would be hard enough, wouldn't it? There's just that many there. It's crazy. And people just thinking of different ones all the time or different ways to explain, same things. But yeah, it's brilliant. There's so many, I can't keep up with it.
Well, yeah, and that's just it. He didn't want to pull any of them out. They're all like nails for the coffin of the globe, you know?
Yeah.
So how do you pick that one out and leave this one out? He just laid it all out. And yeah, it was just really well done. And then even things that he didn't even really research, he nailed it somehow. You know? Talking about walking, I don't want to give anything away, but they're walking down this mountain and they start seeing blue flowers. Well, in Colorado, the tallest, mountains in this country, the first flowers you see coming down the mountain after the tree line and all that, the only thing that grows is a couple of these weird looking herbs that don't really flower, and the columbine flower, which is a bluish purplish flower, a small bluish purple flower. And it was just like things fell into place while he was doing this somehow. I even asked him, did you research, the flowers that grow in the highest areas, what color they were, or this or that? He's like, no, I just kind of threw that in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Meant to
It was
be.
meant to be, exactly.
Yeah, I love when that happens, when you're sort of in a flow and you can sort of, things just come together real quick. There's no force needed. It's just sort of, you're kind of playing at that stage, aren't you? It just sort of happens around you. It can happen for, many different things. Sometimes it happened for the house. Like when I was renovating the house, I'd be like, this is never going to get done. And then all of a sudden, click, people turn up at the right time. There'll be just people everywhere. Just like everything gets done. And you're just like, what? How does that work? So, yeah, it's the flow.
So, yeah, everybody, if you haven't read it, don't have a copy yet, it's The Voyage by Douglas Falk. You can get it on Amazon. I'm sure if you just punch it in there, you'd be able to find it no problem. But yeah, go out there and check it out. It's a great book. First book I've read that was actually fiction since I think 2005, maybe. I was reading the Hannibal Lecter series, and the last one, Hannibal. The ending was so bad and poorly written, and I read a bunch of this guy's books that I just quit. It was like someone else wrote that chapter for him or something. He sold the last chapter or paid someone to write the last chapter of the book. I don't know, but it was so bad. I was like, I'm done. I'm not reading any more of this nonsense. Yeah, it just totally turned me off of fiction. So I'm eagerly awaiting my next fiction book, which will be whatever Douglas decides to name it.
Well, so that really kind of coalesces a lot of things that I was wanting to get out. First off, this should be our last Have No Sphere this Friday on our backup channel. So not this Friday, but next Friday. We should be back full-time on the main channel. Fingers crossed. We'll see. And last week, we had Rodrigo Ferrari Nunez on. And it was a really awesome conversation.
Amazing.
But I had a thought during there, and I'm sure it was something that he had said. And it was about sort of, he might have been talking about a library or something. Good, Lucas, you were talking about all these little coincidences and how once you're sort of in that flow, things just that are meant to be happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you sort of live in that intuitive state where you are doing things intuitively, just trying to feel where that flow is and act accordingly, those things will really start to happen. And I got to thinking about my earliest pre-YouTube holes. And it was this idea. This is what I had written down on my notepad. Library intuition. and how when I was a kid, I had such a curiosity that I could wander just sort of up and down the aisles in the library, just reading titles, looking, just exploring subjects, not needing to even crack books, but just looking at all the different subjects that were out there. But again, just trying to use that, not even being able to place a word on it. This was one of those things that just sort of hit me on Friday night when Rodrigo was talking, that was how I went to the library as a kid, just so super intuitively, just trying to feel those books that would speak to me, that I'd look and find and grab and open and crack. And maybe it was one that I'd read, maybe not, but that's how I would go down my early rabbit holes, was just this real intuitive wandering in the library. Because those books, they can really have that vibration to them that'll just reach out in ways that you did not expect, just right off the shelf.
Yeah, my little brother.
Yeah.
Most of his young childhood in the library with my mom. They would go, a couple times a week, and he had his own little section. He'd go and sit down in this one room, and he'd go grab like 3 or 4 books, and my mom would go and walk around and look at stuff and whatnot. But yeah, he'd kind of the same thing. I'd go with him sometimes, and I'd just watch him walking up and down the aisles, just looking, like you said, just looking at the titles of the books. And he'd be like, "Ooh, I saw something on this. I wanted to learn about this." And yeah, he'd just pick it up and take it down and go and dive in. Wouldn't it be nice, though, if there was a library that told nothing but truths?
I was always looking in those sort of, what would they, like I guess it's the spiritual or those alternate sort of sections, and I was like always trying to look for the ultimate book, the one that had the actual secrets to it. There was something special in there that always have this sort of imagination that you sort of got the big tome that you go and that's like dusty and in the back corner, and yeah, exactly. I was looking for the never-ending story, that one that just
right, the real deal.
Told you about things. Actually, it was always a bit of a letdown, but you never stop searching. I'm still sort of like that, even when I peruse the internet.
Mm-hmm. That book's out there somewhere, or you just haven't wrote.
I always stayed in the library. That was kind of my go-to. If it was here, when I would like my split up between here and with my mom, because my parents were divorced, and both towns, the librarians, they all knew me, and just that. I mean, that was it. And like you say, looking for that ultimate dive, that ultimate experience, that feeling of just being lost in the books, and like you also there, Josh said, just wandering, letting it find you, literally. I mean, it was the place here in Franklin was perfect, because you would come in, the water fountain was right there inside the door, because you rode your bike over there back in the day. You didn't have to worry about getting dropped off. You just took off. Got the water, cold water, that library cold water, and then hit the stairs. And right when I walk out the top of the stairs, there was the science fiction over here, there was the fiction over there, and then there was all the reference stuff, which I would find art and the weird paranormal stuff like you're talking about, Lucas. And that would just be the top floor was my domain. I was Conan the librarian. It was like, yeah, my place. I love it. I wish it was like that now, but kids just stare at a screen. That's all they do.
I don't know if you guys have done this, but like you've, say, bought a heap of books at once, and then they'll just sit on your shelf for ages. And you're just like, even when you get them, you're like, oh, I don't really have any interest in that right now, even though you bought it. It's sort of something told you to buy it. But and then later on, you'll pick it out and you'll go, probably should have read this, when I first got it or something, or it's the right time to actually read it, So there's a definite timing to certain information as well, I find.
Absolutely. So I've been playing with this infrared spectrum of light a little bit. Not as much as I'd like to, but it's weird, man. Like, you look at computer screens through infrared and they're black. One of Cammy's made a little bit of a light source, but you didn't see any pictures, not a hint of a picture. And both of them had different, she had both screens on with stuff up on them, and one of them didn't even look like it was turned on. I would pull my head away from the camera and I could see everything. I'd go look through the camera and it just looked like a black room.
So no infrared coming off it whatsoever. That's interesting.
She was shining UV lights through stuff and like illuminating that globe she has that'll start glowing when the UV light hits it. Didn't see any of that. Not a hint of it at all. It's
So
weird.
what lights show up? Do your normal sort of globes show up? They shouldn't they? They got heat.
It's got to be infrared. It blocks out all light except for infrared light. In the 950 UV spectrum, I believe, the filter I was playing with yesterday. We got a few of them, UV filters. Water looks black. The sky, the clouds look beautiful. You can see clouds like you've never seen them before, but the sky behind the clouds is black. It's not blue.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yep.
So yeah, I don't know, next sunny day. I think it's supposed to rain all day today and maybe Wednesday-ish. But I'm just going to go live and walk around with my phone camera and then the P1000 with that on and just show people all the different stuff I've been noticing through this different spectrum of light. Fire doesn't look much different. I've been trying to, think of different things to look at. Ooh, a welder. Or my propane torch. I wonder what that'll look like. Maybe burning metal. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that should.
Yeah, people think of some ideas and send them to me on things to look at with this camera.
When you said that about the clouds and how they look, it reminded me of that era, probably late 80s, early 90s, when all these enhanced vision sunglasses started coming out with the yellow tint, and you would look, it was for driving. It would improve your clarity, but block the glare from oncoming traffic and all these things. And all we'd like to do is take them and look at the sky because it made the clouds look incredible. That could have been some of the substances we were enjoying as well, but the glasses really made the clouds look crazy. And that's interesting that this process you guys are playing around with is doing the same thing. Clouds, man. What the hell?
Remember those crazy visors that they used to sell?
Wait, which one?
I've seen it on an ad. They had these massive big visors that you put down in front of you while you're driving along.
Yes. Zach,
Right.
real quick, Zombie Snoop in chat is asking if, speaking of books, if you could refer a couple of good beginner's alchemy books. You're on it? All right. Just make sure you saw that.
Just dropped it in chat.
Nice.
One of my favorites. He's an actual alchemy professor at the Paracelsus School of Alchemy up in Washington State, here in the U.S. His name's Robert Allen Bartlett. And this is one of his books for beginners. It's called Real Alchemy, A Primer of Practical Alchemy. This is where I learned how to make my 7 basics that I made, and it teaches you ends tinctures and getting into the metals a little bit. It's a good all-around book on kind of the history of alchemy and how it's been hidden, and how a lot of the alchemy of old is just physics today. That's really what it is. They've changed some of the names of things around, but they had the world of physics down a long time ago. And he kind of explains how, alchemy was like one of the oldest sciences, but it went beyond science because it used your intent as well and things like that. They took so much out of alchemy when they took the spirituality away from it and made chemistry.
Right. I
found a really good
picture
one.
of the book in our show. Sorry, real quick. I'm going to put the picture in our show description picture, but when you see it, you'll notice the the dragons eating each other's tail. Yeah, the tongue will not work this morning. Sorry. But yeah, the cover is amazing. Lots of awesome stuff. So I'll share that, guys, with the picture this morning. Sorry, Josh. Go ahead. Sorry, Lucas. Go ahead.
We've only got about 90 seconds before we hit the break, too. So throw that out there, Lucas.
Okay, I'll go real quick. So another one, if you're into spagyrics, which is sort of like a side part of alchemy, Manfred M. Junius is a decent. It's really easy to read book that goes through some of the how to make the tinctures and all that sort of stuff, but it gives you some idea of some of the alchemical concepts as well. That was it.
Awesome. Well, I know Zach was doing a reading of the primer for Real Alchemy, and my wife Dixie had seen him do a couple of the videos and got so interested she ran out and bought 2 copies.
Nice.
One as a gift and one for us.
Very awesome.
So yeah. Let's see. Then I also wanted to give a real quick shout out to Rogue Cock. They're in chat. My sunglasses are actually those like HD blue blocking type of shades that Walt was talking about earlier. And they actually transition and get a little darker in the sun. So it helps out there too. But yeah, I am working desperately on wearing sunglasses less and less.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for me. I really need the sunglasses. Anyway, we're going to take a real quick break and be back with the Ironworx.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing problem in today's modern media. From the mainstream to YouTube and Google, the information you're looking for is buried by official narratives and propaganda. This is why TFR is 100% uncensored, unregulated, and listener-supported. The shows on TFR are not micromanaged by the station, and our hosts are free to speak their minds however they please. As such, the views and opinions expressed on our station are of those who make them. If you happen to hear anything offensive on TFR, please send us an email to toughtitty@tfrlive.com, and we'll be happy to tell you that we really don't give a damn. We stand for freedom of speech and non-censorship. If you also stand for free speech, you can go to tfrlive.com/sign-up and sign up for a TFR supporter pass and help us in our mission to keep the airwaves uncensored and unregulated. TFR Live, your uncensored and unregulated protection from deception.
23 reported dead. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. In the collapse of a bridge carrying elevated train tracks in Mexico City. The mayor says a support beam failed as a train crossed the overpass. Large cranes have been brought in to stabilize 2 dangling train cars to allow rescue workers to search for people who might be trapped inside. 65 people reported hospitalized. There are children among the victims. A massive highway crash outside Dallas has left at least 1 person dead.
Multiple 18-wheelers are down. Multiple vehicles disabled. Multiple vehicles are damaged. Some completely totaled.
Stephen Dial of Fox 4 on the scene near Waxahachie, Texas, south of Dallas. Several tractor trailers blown over on I-35E. There had been reports of tornadoes in the area at the time. Reports of twisters Monday stretching from West Virginia to South Carolina.
It was loud and furious, and we got the dog, and we got in the closet, and the whole house was just shaking.
That man in Abbeville, South Carolina. In Georgia, the storm's bringing down trees, killing a man in Douglasville and a woman near Macon. President Biden dramatically increasing the number of refugees allowed into the country to 62,500 a year, and saying he hopes to double that number eventually, saying it shows America's commitment to protect the most vulnerable. Brendan Judd, the president of the National Border Patrol Council, says it's a mistake.
If we continue to send the message that the border is open, then people are going to come. We're going to continue to see boats capsizing off the coast of San Diego. We're going to continue to see people crossing through the dangerous deserts of Arizona.
The refugee cap had been 15,000 under the Trump administration. The Supreme Court hears the final oral arguments of its current term today by teleconference. The High Court declining to hear a challenge to Maryland's ban on bump stocks, the accessory to firearms that can make them mimic the firing rate of automatic weapons. America is listening to Fox News.
Wherever you are, make it Truth Frequency Radio.
Good morning. I'm here. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up! What is dark matter?
Okay, we don't know.
That's great. That's why it's called dark.
It's exactly.
Everyone knows all reputable information comes from random people on the internet. Tell me things, internet. The earth is flat. It's like school. You get mad.
Dark matter is something we do not know what it is. We believe the dark matter is there, but we have never detected it. Well, what I'm afraid of course, is that there is no dark matter out there. So what one? There is no dark matter out there. We need to think really hard,
No, you don't badmouth science in this place. Fuck that shit. Science. It's real, bitches.
And welcome back for the second half, hour number 2 of the Ironworx, right here on Truth Frequency Radio, TFRlive.com. Don't you go badmouthing science around here.
So that Spagiric's book, it goes into some of the distillation processes and things like that. Well, it was, sort of, it helped me understand some of this sort of world distillation stuff, whereas how the sun's operating, and so the heat from the sun and then the cold from the moon, and it gives you a good idea of, when you look at distillation, you can actually sort of, it gives you a better idea of what I'm actually talking about. So it's well worth a read.
Real quick, Liz in chat says she feels bad for giving bad advice about eye protection when she had her sunbed shop. I'm not sure if that would be the same situation. I mean, that's a totally different, it's not a natural thing. You would probably need the protection.
Yeah.
And again, I could be completely wrong, Liz. It could be the same exact thing, and you were cooking those people. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. Totally guessing. I am not a sunbed professional, nor do I play one on TFR. So, but yeah, that's an interesting flip on it. I never thought about that.
But yeah, if you wear sunglasses, your body doesn't produce the melanin that it would have. There's a liquid in your eyes, and when the sunlight warms it up, it tells another part of your body, they say, I don't, but they say. It tells another part of your body, you need to produce melanin because there's so much sunlight that you're going to get burned if your body doesn't start producing.
Right. But truly, if you're sitting in a bed literally to cook yourself to get a suntan, you're already on a different path, I think, anyway. So I wouldn't sweat it too much, Liz.
Unless they come out with the tan, and then they had the sunglasses line. That's
the white lines.
I used to get that all the time. Really used to wear sunglasses in the heat. He was like, "Take your sunglasses off." They are.
I remember in gym class, we had, what was it, Coach Balish. And, big guy, big muscles, played football and all that stuff. And he'd stand out there, and he had these little tiny, little round sunglasses that just covered his eyes like completely. And then they had the little edge thing so you couldn't see the light through the edges. And he looked like almost like a reverse raccoon. His right there would be all white around his eyes. And then his face would be like beet red from the sunburn. His whole face, his arms that weren't covered with the shirt, just beet red. Because he'd stand out there 7 different times for however long, 45 minutes or whatever, all day long. And when it starts getting nice out in the springtime, yeah, he would have the worst sunburn I'd ever seen. But he'd have those white reverse raccoon eyes. And I never thought, hey, if you would have just not worn those sunglasses, you probably would have had a nice tan, man.
Well, what I noticed after I sort of quit wearing them that, for the first little while, I could barely see. I'd be like driving along and my eyes would be watering and be just so bright, But then after a while, your eyes actually do get used to it, especially the Australian sun. I mean, it's fairly powerful when it's in the summertime, that's for sure.
Well, you don't get a whole lot
get
of
used to it.
snow, do you? You don't ever get
Snow?
snow, do you? Yeah.
Nah.
That's the only
On the
time I
mountains.
can't drive. That's the only. There's a thing called snow blindness.
Oh,
it'll
yeah.
All white
Reflects.
everywhere, and then a real bright sunny day. I've had to pull over on the road and just close my eyes and like sit there for like minutes until because I'd be in the house doing this, and I leave to go to work, and my eyes didn't adjust. And I'm squinting and squinting and squinting. I'll get to the highway, and all of a sudden, it's like my eyes just can't stop watering, and they start hurting so bad because it's so bright.
Yep.
Yeah, snow blindness sucks. That's a hard one to. I actually would wear sunglasses sometimes. They weren't like dark sunglasses. They put like a yellow haze over everything. They were for kind of like driving at night. And I realized that those really helped a lot, just getting rid of that glare off the snow. Yeah, I have
You
trouble
need
with
one of those big shields that come down from the top and
2 little eye holes right in the middle.
Oh, those things were goofy as fuck.
I know some of these people have these things set up like right in their field of view. It's like, how do you drive with that? I don't know. I'm an old man when I drive. I'm very defensive. And I like to be able to see all the stuff around me,
Do you wait for people to turn, like, they've got the indicator on, but you're still not sure they got to be turning?
Well, it's real weird here in South Carolina because there's a center lane like everywhere. Almost all the roads have like, even if it's a 4-lane, there's a 5th lane in the center. And that's like the turning lane. And you'll be driving along, you're right next to that center lane, and someone will come pulling out of something across the street, and you're thinking they don't see you and they're going to come pulling out in front of you. Well, what they do is they get in that center lane and they build up their speed a little bit, and then they pull into the lane. And it's like that. And well, the thing around here is, Detroit, people run red lights. Colorado had its own weird thing about who went first at stop signs and stuff like that. And then here, it's nobody uses their turn signals, like ever. There's very few people that use turn signals. So yeah, I'm even more defensive here than normal.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be driving over there if, you're on the wrong side and you're not indicating, so I'd be buggered.
That's center lane, Zach, at least here in Missouri, is only used for turning off of that roadway. For those assholes that want to use it like it's a merge lane, that's exactly why it's referred to as a suicide lane, because of those assholes.
freaks me out every time they do it. I'll be driving it and they're like, if they would pull into my lane, I'd smash them. Just destroy. Couldn't stop, you know? And I'm just waiting for one of these idiots to do it. But they pull into that center lane and then they'll wait for me to go by and wait maybe for a couple more. And they'll just sit there and wait till they have an open spot and then they pull out. Yeah, I don't like it. But, when in Rome, I mean, I don't do it, but can't really bitch about people in foreign lands when you're in their lands, But yeah, Detroit I thought was funny because people would just be sitting at red lights and there'd be nobody at the other two lanes. So they'd just go. And I'd be sitting like, wow, this is crazy. And it wasn't like one or two people did it. I saw like 10 people do it in the month I was there. It's like, this is insane that people drive like this. In Colorado, you come up to a four-way intersection and like three people all pull up together. The Asians, if it's an old Asian couple, you just go because they're going to wait. They're real slow. If it's a black couple, be careful because they're just going to go. They're going to pull out in front and go, you know. And if it's a Latino, especially if they're, not 100% legal, it doesn't matter if you pulled up 3 seconds after them. They're going to let you go first. It's weird. It really is. They'll sit there and they'll wave you on. I don't know. Cammie pointed this out to me and I started noticing it. It's like, wow, it's real. Like, it's not like a race thing so much. It's just, I don't know. It's weird. That place we were in was like a smelting pot of just every ethnicity you could think of. That neighborhood they lived in there. And yeah, you'd come to a stop sign and it was like, I should have done experiments. I should have. Just human behavioral experiences. But yeah, anybody from south of the border, you come up to the stop sign at the same time, they're always going to wave you on first. Always. I don't know.
Don't know.
Don't even want me to start on driving. One of my pet peeves. Oh my goodness. There's really nowhere for me to go with that one. I'm not the best person to be behind you if you're not handling your business well on the road. I might attempt to educate you along the road. You never know.
Yeah, that's
a couple of toots, a couple of bright flashes. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, the turning lane is for actually getting into and turning, not staying over here and then turn. Yeah, things like that.
I'll let those assholes stay in that lane.
Speaking about draw. Yeah, go, sorry.
I'll let those assholes stay in that lane. I won't let them over. I'll scare them a little bit. I'll make them write down it and realize what the fuck they've done before I let them over.
So speaking about driving, like today I had to go over to another town. I was do some yoga there and that. And then I thought, I got to make it to this other town, which is about an hour and a half drive to go to the chiropractor. So I'm like, yep, no worries. I'll make it. Just got to, don't have to really speed, but there was basically a roadworks that held me up for 20 minutes. So I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So got through that. Then I was sitting behind someone in a caravan. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And then I got past them and out the other side of the road, and I was already late by then. And I'm like, then there was a cop car that was in front of me, and he was probably the only cop in Victoria that sat on the speed limit. I mean, he was on like doing 100 Ks, and that was it. I was just like, you got to be kidding me. I can't even catch up. So it was no good me overtaking the cop. That wouldn't be real wise. So anyway, I was late. So things were just not working in my favor at all.
You would be amazed at how many people pass marked cop cars, that are going a couple miles over the speed limit, going down the highway here in the U.S. Not the, the hidden ones that they don't have any markings on them and the lights are inside. These are like highway patrol cars. And people will pull up behind them and then all of a sudden they just merge over left and go. It's like, are you stupid? He's there like keeping people from going over the speed limit. He's even going a couple miles over the speed limit being cool about it. And you're going to try and pass him? Really? I just don't understand the logic in that. I don't get what's going through people's heads at that time.
No, well, that's what I wasn't going to overtake the cop who's sitting on the speed limit. It's just like crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, see you, mate. Yeah, next minute he's got the lights on, and then I'm extra late. You know what I mean? That's just nuts. I mean, but seriously, how many cops do you actually think you're going to sit behind, and they're actually on the speed limit? I mean, that seems ludicrous to me. Like every other one's they're flying past you at 120 or 140. Yeah, okay, there goes the cop.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of cops who don't obey the laws here, and then there's some that will bust other cops, give them tickets in their police cars. I knew a guy when I was, in my early 20s. He had a brother. I worked with him at the hospital, and his brother was a Gary police officer, Gary, Indiana. Murder capital of the year in the '80s, or murder capital of the world back in the '80s. Just not the greatest place. But he was a hard ass cop, and he would give other police officers tickets. He'd arrest them for drinking and driving. He'd arrest them for drugs. Yeah, something Garcia. The guy I knew was Hugo Garcia, but his brother, he didn't give anybody a break ever. He was one of those cops, that would do the speed
That'd
limit.
be a full-time job, busting the cops, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
It's like you'd have more tickets up his,
Yeah,
How
he
many you
wasn't
get this week? Yeah, half the force. Get the rest of them next week.
Yeah, but the people that where he patrolled and stuff, they all loved him. He was real well known in the community, and he was known for being a hard ass. But he was a hard ass to the same hard ass, no matter what color, no matter what you were wearing. Yeah, he was that same hard ass to every. And this was before video cameras and all the where cops have to do that stuff now. He was just like that on principle. So there are good cops out there. There definitely are. And that's not the only one I knew. I grew up with the guy, we went to school together and all that. And his whole life he planned on being a cop. His father, his grandfather were cops. And he was just one of the best people I know. His name was Matt. I don't want to dox him, but I believe he's still a police officer in the town we grew up in. I knew he was when I moved out of there. But yeah, just, one of the best guys. So yeah, there's a lot of good police officers out there, a lot of good ones. And the saying isn't wrong. It only takes one bad apple to spoil the whole bunch. And if you've been watching any First Amendment audits lately or anything like that, or just look in the news, type in cop fired and look over the last 2 months. Here in the United States, it's been going crazy getting police officers that shouldn't be out on the street with their, what is it called? Their immunity. They're pretty much, they're sovereign citizens. Police are, and they lose that right.
Qualified immunity is what you're trying.
Qualified immunity. Thank you. Yeah. Once they break the law and infringe upon your rights, they lose all of that. And there's been, in 2019 alone, it was over $3 billion paid out of taxpayer money to citizens because of these police doing this stuff. So it's changing here in the U.S. And a lot of the younger cops, if you're watching audits, they know. You could tell the older cops, they don't want to do this job anymore. It's not the good old days, when you go up and try to harass some young teenager that's, 18, 19, and he knows his rights now because he watches YouTube, the job sucks. You can sit there and lie and do all this stuff like you used to, but they don't buy it anymore. They're waking up to it. And yeah, I wouldn't want to be a cop, especially now. Jeez. So yeah, it's going to change. It's definitely going to change. All these people are going to get weeded out one way or another. They're either going to get fired for misconduct, or they're going to hate their job so much because it's not, I'm the big bad cop and I'm in control. They're really public servants until you break the law, and people are realizing that, and they're treating them accordingly. You don't let your servant come up and tell you what to do, right? Hey, go over there, sit down on that curb. It's like kick rocks. Kiss my ass. You're telling me to do that. I didn't break no law. You have no control over me. And when, especially these young kids are coming out and saying this to these cops, especially these old cops that are, been doing this for 25, 27 years, rah, 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 they can't handle it. Their egos can't take it. And yeah, a lot of these people are being removed. A lot of them.
That's good.
Yeah. So it's up to us. The people have to dictate society. We can't let these other people run society because they don't do a good job at it. Yeah, the internet was their, it's a great weapon and tool for them, but it's an even better weapon for us. I bet they
So
would
let's
put
say, just playing devil's advocate here, and let's say this works and we do weed them all out. Okay, so then we have a bunch of good guys who are out there upholding a bunch of fucked up laws. You see where I'm coming from? To me, the whole system is flawed. It's all about protecting the electeds. Shit. It's not ever about that true
Yeah.
serve and protect. It's never been serve and protect. It's always been about protecting the king when all this shit originated, or protecting the overlord, or protecting the whoever's right to rule over you. It has nothing to do with your rights being protected. And that's just from the research I've done over the years of this, because I grew up in a family who had a few law enforcement officers, and they were wonderful people and did serve and protect their community, and were people who you literally could knock on the door at 4 a.m. and they would greet you with a helpful, help and not a gun drawn. So that flip side is I also know a huge number of people who growing up were eager to jump into the system so they could be a bully, because they were a bully in school and they were a bully in the neighborhood, and they couldn't wait to get a badge so they could be a really good bully. So yeah, it's tough to think that. It's great that this is happening. I love the fact that people are standing up for their rights, and that's really the only way that it will change. But where do we go? Is it just vigilante justice after that? Is it still? I don't know. I'm just more or less throwing all this shit out there to see what you guys think about it.
Well, I think the laws are pretty well written if they're followed. As far as privacy laws and, your freedom of speech and your freedom of the press and your freedom of religion. And yeah, they're going to try to take these rights away from us, and we're always going to have to fight for them. This isn't something that you get and then you obtain it forever. This is something that's going to be a member of a society. You really have to be diligent in your watching the watchmen, watching the legislators, keeping an eye on what they're doing. That's what I can't wait for people to start doing even more. Let's figure out a way to get these politicians in this position to where we can start removing them from their seats. We're doing it on our local levels and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's where the attention needs to be turned. All these cops or whoever, is enforcing these laws need to sort of turn all their attention away from people in a sense and turn it into a way towards these people that are doing this messed up stuff to us, like creating lockdowns and forcing, medical tyranny and all this bullshit that they're actually applying to us. I mean, these cops need to turn around and leave the people alone for a second and just go and get these other guys that are actually, enforcing this stuff.
And I think that has a lot to do with the whole selection process. You cannot be a cop if you're too intelligent. There's something wrong with that.
Now, I've heard that a lot. And just to be clear, I'm pretty sure that was either a New York State or New York City policy that was taken to the Supreme Court and, of course, ruled in their favor. But I don't think it's like a policy that applies across the board. I think that each individual department gets to set those standards. And I think that was just the New York department defending their stance on that maximum IQ.
Yeah, that's weird. And yeah, I mean, I've heard that in, what was it? I know it's a movie, but The Departed, that movie about Boston, Leo and Matt Damon.
Bobby D.
Yeah, and when Leonardo DiCaprio went in there to be a state trooper, they tell him, kid, you got 1,500 on your SATs. You're an astronaut, not a state trooper. You're going to be out of here in 6 months. So I don't know. Maybe there is sort of and then they threw him into undercover work. But maybe there is something where they have an algorithm that if your IQ is this high, you usually don't stick around. I don't know. Because they do spend a lot of money training these people and this and that, and to have them leave after just 6 months. So I don't know. But yeah, it's hard to get the police officers to turn on their masters, But really that's where their focus needs to be set. They need to understand the laws that they're protecting and be like, hey, that's against the law.
That's it. Hey, Zach, we're going to hit the break. We'll be right back. Fourth and final right after this.
It's amazing how people have been raving about iLife all over Facebook. They've been posting their testimonials just because they want to get the word out because it's worked so well for them. If you're not familiar with iLife, it's a 99% pure CBD oil, but the secret is the synergy between the hemp and the ayahuasca vine, the non-psychoactive component of the ayahuasca tea. We recently received an email from a wife whose husband has Parkinson's. For the first time, he's been able to sleep through the entire night. Another customer reported that they're no longer using NSAIDs because their tennis elbow has been relieved with iLife. The reports have been phenomenal and much more than we ever expected. Everyone should have access to this. That's why if you head on over to iLife.com right now and use coupon code TFR, we'll give you $5 towards your order. And we'll even ship it worldwide. That's iLife.com, AYA-life.com.
Do you want to lose weight but have no idea where to begin? The Fast Start Diet, a 3-day weight loss plan, is the answer. 3 days of nutritionally balanced, calorie-restricted meals delivered right to your door. No shopping, no measuring, and no cooking. Everything is prepared for you and ready to eat at home or on the go. The Fast Start Diet has all the amazing benefits of intermittent fasting without starving. We've helped thousands of people who have struggled to reach their weight loss goals. Isn't it time we helped you? With the Fast Start Diet, you'll lose weight and feel great.
Find us on Amazon or go to faststartdiet.com and use promo code POWER to get $10 off your first box. As a special bonus, we will include our #1 rated Lipo3 appetite suppressant spray free with your order. Whatever your diet plans are, start with us at faststartdiet.com and use promo code POWER.
Jacob Frank Leibovich is the mastermind behind a global network of satanic cults. He taught that the creator God was evil. Jacob Frank proclaimed himself as the true Messiah. He vowed never to tell the truth. He rejected every moral law and declared that the only way to a new society was through the total destruction of civilization. Murder, rape, incest, and the drinking of blood were perfectly acceptable actions and rituals. His followers established the Marxist system and have infiltrated Islam and Judaism. He was the Messiah of the Illuminati.
EnigmaTV.com.
We are TFR.
My faith in destiny is all I need to prevail.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Millions of people who are continually pale and washed out, weak and run down. Doctors will tell you that these conditions are often caused by a deficiency of iron. The iron you need to keep you physically fit and mentally alert. Medical studies show that 2 out of 3 women and many, many men lack the daily iron your body requires, in a form your body can easily use and put to work. Every dose gives you more than your daily minimum iron requirement.
We are awake, we are awake, we are not alone. We are striving for more.
So if you're not getting the iron your body needs, if you feel weak, run down, and are easily upset, start taking iron today.
Your balls are showing.
And welcome back for the fourth and final segment of the Ironworx this morning. I kind of thought Walter had something queued up for us.
It's really bad audio. I've tried to find 3 different versions of it, and they all sound really low. I can't. I tried. So I dropped it in chat. Enjoy. It's funny. I mean, I thought about it earlier when I said it. That's why I said it, because it's a reference to a movie I really like. If you guys ever missed it, go search it out. Just throwing you a weird cult movie to enjoy. It's called UHF. In the old days, there were 3 channels, ABC, NBC, and CBS. But if you knew how to play with your TV, you could turn it onto this little U thing, and there was a dial behind that clicker that you could dial in stuff on this thing called UHF, and it would be weird local stations that would play old black and white movies that you'd never seen, or like the Addams Family before it was cool, or just like nuts stuff like that. Well, the movie UHF stars Weird Al Yankovic and an early Michael Richards. And it's really one of those movies that is pretty much genius all the way through. Hilarious, well put together, satirical, lots of takes on movie culture and music video culture, because, that's Weird Al's wheelhouse. But yeah, really great movie. And the Conan the Librarian segment, one of my favorites. Enjoy.
Well, that would have been a great callback.
Just couldn't get the audio up. I tried 3 different versions that I pulled, and they all sounded. If you can find one, definitely do so, sir. But the ones I pulled were horrible, so I just gave up. They sounded like they had been dubbed from an old VHS copy of the movie. Literally, it was really bad and low, and I could hardly hear it in my set. So it'll be a teaser for you guys to find it and go enjoy.
I loved the there was only like 3 guys that worked at the whole place.
Yeah. The science guy.
It's a science guy, yeah.
I knew that's where you were going.
Janitor. And he'd play with electricity, and didn't he bring a frog back to life or something?
I don't remember the frog, but I do know he was like the secrets of the universe was his little segment, and he was doing all kind of like Tesla stuff, and it was crazy. And we don't need no stinking badgers. Anyway, definitely a great movie. So side note, while we're taking side notes, shout out to Allison, our buddy Allison in chat. Apparently got a nail through her foot. Ouch. Sorry, man. And sending you lots of healing love. Asked her in chat if they made her get the usual tetanus shot they always ask you to boost up their own when you, get any kind of cut or stitches or anything like that at the ER. Josh let us all have a little bit of some interesting information there on a piece of art I would like you to share it with me so I can put in the show description. But it just talks about the just idiocy of this whole thing. It starts with a quote: exposure tetanus toxin fragment by nerve terminals from an intramuscular deep cut or a wound is an avid and rapid process and is not blocked by vaccination. And that's from the Journal of Neuroscience Research, blah, 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 numbers and letters in 2006. So, yeah, cool. Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome. Yeah, there's a little bit of really good information in there I thought was really interesting. And once I got that information, what was it, 20 years ago, is when I started telling the nurses, oh, yeah, I just had my booster just a couple of years ago. Every time I went in, didn't matter. I just decided I was not getting it again because it didn't make any bit of difference. It doesn't do anything for tetanus. So I don't understand why they feel this need to boost it. Unless it's just one of those Tdap boosters where they're just giving you everything at once and they just got to keep boosting all 3 of those, which is probably my guess. It's probably never just a tetanus booster. But yeah, with the length of time it takes for infection to set in and the length of time it takes for antibodies from the booster that they give you, it's completely and utterly worthless. So I haven't had one in several years.
Nope. Last one I had, I think I was 19, maybe. I fell off the roof and landed on a pile of shingles and it stuck in my butt. That one hurt. Then after I learned about tetanus, I did roofing a couple years after that. And I learned that tetanus is a joke. And I ripped my knuckles like halfway off. I had all kinds of pokes and prods up there. I never got a tetanus shot. Nothing ever happened to me. So yeah, I'd quit buying into all that stuff. It feels like they're shooting cement into you anyway. It's like, nah, I'm good.
You'll have
Wouldn't it be
to tell us
amazing
about
if we were made with a system inside our bodies that somehow protected us from things like tetanus or, anything out there that could actually get in, if anything actually can get in, if that's even a thing that really can happen? Because, we're pretty much are finding out that everything we've been told is a lie. And we've pretty much broken apart the whole viral myth. So, yeah, I definitely, it's been a while since I've gotten a jab. So, sorry, go ahead, Lucas. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I just wanted to hear about Zach's hair tincture.
Please share that story, Zach. It's amazing.
Yeah, I got it out of that book, Real Alchemy, A Primer of Practical Alchemy. It talked about intent and this and that, and, putting your intent into the plants even before you cut them and clip them, and, putting the intent into it when it's still in seed form, growing with this plant, and then explaining to it what you're going to do. Yeah, I'm going to end this life that you have here one day, but I'm going to turn you into something else. And then I'm going to consume you, and you're going to become part of me. And what I'd like you to do is to help. I was very vain at the time. This was before Flat Earth, and I was cue ball bald on top. The top of my head looked like, cue ball. There was no hair at all whatsoever. So I wanted to grow my hair back. And the total process took probably 10 months. 6 months of growing the plants around there, and then 4 months of actually making the tincture. You could have done it in 2 months, but something told me when I was doing the first thing not to do it for just a month, but told me to do it for 3. In the book, he even tells you alchemy is not a science. There is no set times. You do it by how long the plant tells you. You ask it. Whatever you feel is what you do. That's what makes alchemy so cool. Is you're putting yourself into it. So I took 4 months to make my tinctures, and started taking them real slow, just a few drops a day. I made one for each day of the week, and every week I'd up the drops. I started with 3 drops, and then 5, and then again it just went with what was in my head. I kind of did the Fibonacci sequence almost. 3, 5, 8, 13, and then I kind of went away from it there. I didn't want to go too fast, but I was up to like 35 drops a day after 6 months. And I'm just sitting there. I didn't think about it, And all of a sudden, my buddy's like, dude, you got hair on your head. I was like, piss off, man. Leave me alone. Because, they're always, that's one of the jokes, when you got the bald friend, you make fun of his baldness. He's like, no, for real. And I touched it, and I was growing like hair. And while I was taking the tincture, it was kind of getting thick. It looked like baby's hair regrowing on my head. And then I found Flat Earth and all that stuff, and I said, I did this out of vanity. I shouldn't be doing this. It wasn't pure, the reason why I'm doing this. So I quit. But I still have the hair on my head. Yeah,
Oh, wow. That's cool. Really cool.
We are very powerful beings. We are. We can do pretty much anything, I think. If, and this wasn't even something I knew. This was something I just thought might be possible. So I gave it a try. So what happens? I mean, would I have a lion's mane if I actually had done this, knowing that I could do this? Because there was still that doubt when I was doing it the first time.
Right. If you'd have gone all in and kept going, what would have happened? Well, I think it just goes to show you how much they've gone to such great lengths to ridicule and belittle and, just censor and keep it all out of the books, make it look silly, make it look stupid. Cartoon representations of what alchemy really is, just everything they could do to keep it out of our hands, because they know, just like what happened with you, as soon as someone gets their hands on this knowledge and realizes what we can do with stuff that's right here in our yard, then they have no control over us anymore. If we can make our own medicine, our own food, shelter ourselves, I mean, what do they have? What do they have after that?
Well, that was in that Paul Cook video, he was actually talking about those electric brushes, or using magnets and electricity for the brush, and that it was showing when it was in the 1800s or something like that, but it would regrow hair. So there's a bunch of old technology, old alchemy, all that sort of scientific stuff that could be real medicine, maybe actual medicine.
Right.
That they've taken off the shelves, and now they just give you poison to keep you sick so they can keep in business.
Yeah, there's one tincture in that book it talks about, and it tells even a couple stories about it. It's an ENS tincture, which takes a little bit longer to make. It's really a lot of materials needed. It's like 20 pounds of material instead of, the 1 pound, like the 7 basics tinctures. It's just a much stronger tincture. And the Melissa plant over in Europe, or lemon balm, we call it here in the US, it has these crazy rejuvenating powers according to alchemists throughout history. This one alchemist had made it, and he gave it to a chicken an old hen that quit laying eggs. He started giving it to his oldest maid. I believe she was in her late 60s or something like that. And then he started taking it himself. And after 2 weeks, his fingernails and toenails had fallen off, and he freaked out and quit. But he kept giving it to the maid and the chicken. Well, all the feathers fell off the chicken. She grew all brand new feathers. She looked like a young bird again and started laying eggs. The lady, she lost all her fingernails. Her hair started growing back thicker. Her fingernails, toenails grew back healthier and thicker. And this old lady started ovulating again, supposedly. So I don't know. It's something I wanted to try. I started a lemon balm patch back there in Indiana, but it never got big enough for me to actually create this ENS tincture. But yeah, there's multiple alchemists that are saying that this is like the rejuvenation potion of life. So it's something I'm going to do today for sure. Yeah, it's a really interesting part of the book. I believe that's like chapter 5 or 6, somewhere in there. They start talking about that.
It's pretty rough to lose your fingernails, though.
Yeah, that'd be scary. He said it was painless, though. It didn't hurt.
Oh.
It was like hair
I lost
fall.
a fingernail once, but that was mighty painful.
Well, yeah, yours probably was ripped off. This is kind of, shedding.
Yeah.
Kind of snake skin almost.
Yeah. No, I suppose
I
that
just
wouldn't be
keep
too
thinking
bad.
about the fly when you talk about shedding fingernails.
Nemo, like a good scientist, make other people your guinea pigs first.
Yeah. I noticed that. It's like, yeah, just give it to the maid.
Let's try this on the
Dude, that's
chicken.
one
Well, the
thing I
chicken didn't
can't-
die. We need to up our experiments. Let's try it on this old maid. Well, she ain't dead yet. I'll go ahead and take some. Oh, shit. I'm done. But she's not. Let me see what happens if I go ahead and keep going.
Either way, you got to get a younger, fresher maid, aren't you? So if it gets rid of her, you can get a new one. If it makes her younger, you're laughing.
So you can work her twice as hard.
But yeah, the capabilities of what we can do, I believe, are endless. There was a guy way back in the day, supposedly walked on water, and he said a lot of the same stuff. Really. I mean, he said we could do anything he could do and more. So, I don't know. I know Zombie was talking about cloud bursting, said he's getting really good at it. I wish some more people out there would give it a shot.
And not just cloud bursting, working on cloud formation.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is a whole different thing, because the what we're told anyway is that the universe tends towards entropy. So the fact that you are attempting to reverse entropy is pretty. We can do that shit. Let's do it. Hell yeah, I like it.
Well, Jeranism was bringing up the rice experiment, and so he did that himself and was saying, give it intent, like you were saying.
I know a dude.
Yeah, we could. I did it, but
that couldn't make the rice feel bad, right? That's why he has the name Too Nice for Rice.
You needed a maid or something to experiment on.
Yeah, that was. It's amazing. It really is. Our intent, the power we have with our minds. And if you don't believe you have the power, if you know you can't do these things, then you won't. It's that simple. You won't be able to do it because, that doubt you're telling yourself you can't do it. That is making it so you can't do it. When you even just open up to the possibility, maybe I could do this, amazing things happen. Just try it.
And they used to have a bit of the symbolism for that type of including yourself in the experiment, even in some of the ways that they did their esoteric sort of mathematics. Some of the stuff that, say, Marty Leeds deals with. There's actually like a thing where you can say you could plus or minus. So if it's 359 instead of 360, where you can add the 1. So there's like a little concept where you're able to add a 1 or minus a 1 to get the right answer. And this is a way of including yourself in it or taking yourself out of it. So it's there's some sort of that concept of being within the mathematics that you were doing or within the experiment that you're doing. So yeah, it's a really fascinating sort of subject to include yourself in the works that you're doing.
Well, yeah, I think that's one of the reasons they pulled this out of alchemy, because they didn't want us knowing. I mean, alchemy was a hidden knowledge even back in the day. A normal person, most people didn't even have books back then, let alone, according to his story, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like there were tons of alchemists, openly sharing things. Alchemy was considered a crime to even practice alchemy, according to his story. So these were like hidden, the occulted knowledges that were passed down through secret societies and stuff like that. It wasn't something that was just shared and open.
Well, that's right. And the other thing I was thinking of the other day when I was I always kind of try and revisit this astrology idea of, is this correct or is this sort of like a bum steer from the church in a sense? And, I had the thought the other day, I don't know what you guys think, but they would have had to almost get rid of astrology before they could implement the globe lie, because astrology in some sense is so tied up in that flat earth cosmology and understanding that I think they would have almost tried to tackle that first. And I'm always trying to revisit and try and find any little bits of information that may point to the original sort of zodiac. And it's just something I can't shake, that I'm always trying to say the one we have is some watered down and is not correct in so many ways. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but
well, yeah, just look at how most of us were brought up to look at astrology as mumbo jumbo nonsense, right? I mean, that's how in all the movies and all this stuff, it's all made up to be kind of a joke. Call me now, Cleo, all that kind of stuff. It's they make fun of it and mock it, but yet there are still a lot of people practicing astrology, so it's one of those things that throughout the test of time, they've tried to remove it like alchemy, but they can't, because there is that truth and that knowledge in there.
Yeah, there's a story to it as well, and that story seems to be replaying over and over, a cyclic sort of story. But it definitely still seems like, the more I try and find out about it, there's just dead ends, and I can see problems with it, which I've sort of brought up before, like about Virgo actually being two, and these different sort of characters that are a part of it. And it's interesting because Stuffed Beagle, he looks at all these buildings and things, and they have this sort of certain design, like an asterisk encoded in all these buildings. And I was wondering, well, is that a representative of the flat Earth? And is that sort of this 8-figured sort of asterisk? Is that more like how the zodiac's supposed to be than the 12? But just lots of questions that I have about it that, it's hard to find, a different narrative is what I'm getting at. It's almost like, yeah.
Vaguely, and I'm trying to, I just did a quick search. I'm sure I'll find it after we get off the air, which is coming quick. But I vaguely remember some kind of research, and it wasn't mainstream. It was back when I was in the UFO community. Something about the Zodiac and how it was like a sky map to regions of the Earth. And I was remember, at that time I was going, well, how would that work? Because if you're on one side of this ball, you'd see a different set, and it wouldn't point you in the same direction. You wouldn't be going towards like the Virgo area or the Pisces area for the good fishing or whatever. I'm trying to remember the relationship, something about spice roots and that kind of shit. But it was definitely tied into the idea of it being also like a sky map to areas you wanted to go to. And that wouldn't have worked on a ball, but it sure would work on a freaking flat plane, wouldn't it? Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see if I can find that research. It's been a while. But yeah, we are quickly hitting the end of this show. Guys, thank y'all so much, everybody in chat. I tried to keep up, but you guys are always blowing us away. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out. We appreciate it. Love y'all. Thank you guys.
Good time as
Thanks,
always.
everyone.
Thank you guys so much. So yeah, I don't know that we're going to be trying to do a whole lot this Friday for our last show. We may just kind of ease on out and go quietly into the good night.
Or you never know.
Or you never know. But we will see you right back here Friday morning for another exciting episode of the Ironworx right here on True Frequency Radio and TFRlive.com. Have yourselves a great rest of your week. We love you. Be good. Be well. Bye-bye.